Now it's on. Welcome. I'm Tori again, class of 2018, and I work here at the City of Las Vegas, and I helped organize this Mock City Council session for you today. So I know you guys are all excited and ready to go, so very exciting. So I wanted to introduce for you our mayor that we have here today is Councilman Steve Soroka. As you see, he is glad-handing and shaking hands with everybody. So Steve Soroka represents Ward 2, and he was elected in June of 2017 and came into office in July of 2017. Prior to that, he has a 30-year career in the Air Force, affectionately known as the Colonel. Is that correct? Yes. And
my wife calls me Colonel.
Right, and he also worked for the Metro Chamber of Commerce as well, and so he was very excited to be able to do this with you all today. So he's going to be presiding, and he will make a few remarks before you go ahead and get started. I also wanted to introduce you to a few city staff who have very generously taken their time to do this for you today. We have Stacy Campbell here from the City Clerk's office. She's the Deputy City Clerk. Yes. And in the back, we must not forget, we have Jeff Basso, who is fabulous and runs all of the technical capabilities here for you in the council.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes. Yeah. And so then when you come up here to speak, just so you know, there's a little button for the mic. And there's 3 different ones, so you can choose which one you do.
When you turn on, see the light come on? That's how I know you.
Right, the light comes on, and that's how you know the mic is on.
So when you're making fun of me, it's best if your mic is off.
Right.
Highly recommended.
So with that, I'll go ahead and let you guys get started. I unfortunately have to be at another thing right now, so I'm sure it'll all go fabulous, and it'll be a great experience for you. So anyway, welcome to City Hall.
Hey, everybody, a round of applause for Tori for doing all this, setting all this up. She's one of y'all. She's a graduate of Advance, and she's also in our superstar program called SEAL here at the City of Las Vegas, where, just my words, we take the up-and-coming superstars and we put them through additional training so they're grooming them for future leadership. So you have one of your own on her way, so thanks, Tori. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I stepped in your meeting there. I didn't mean to disrupt it earlier when Bob Coffin and Tyrone and Ivana were speaking, but I wanted to see how you guys were, and you failed. You failed miserably. I'm just kidding. But Bob Coffin, I work with him on a regular basis. Tyrone was my class leader when I went through Leadership Las Vegas while I was still active duty at Nellis Air Force Base, so we've been friends a long time. And Ivana and I have had to share the stage on many occasions, and it's fun to get to work with those folks. So I'm sure you had a lot of fun with that crowd there today. So I'm honored to be help you work through a mock city council meeting. And I know when I went through Leadership Las Vegas, we got to go to the courthouse and do something similar. And I know it was very confusing when you read ahead, and you get in the room and the dynamics are interesting. So we'll try to, I'll coach as we go along as needed, but we'll try to keep it a pretty clean meeting so you get a sense. But just a little bit about me. As Tori said, I'm a 30-year career Air Force guy. So I went to the Air Force Academy when I was 17. I retired from the Air Force 4 years ago. I left the Air Force and I became the Chief of Staff at the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce. Anybody ever heard of that? Yeah, I was a chief of staff there for a while, and then I went off and did some other things, and I had no intention of ever running for office. Never, ever, ever did I want to do it, did I desire to do it. So I say I was you. I am you. But then as I was getting more involved with the local community that I was now settling into, I've lived here now longer than I lived anywhere as an adult. I've lived here for now 7 years. In the Air Force, you move on an average about every 2 years. So I've moved all over the country. I came here in 2006, and when I left in 2008, I said, that's home. I'm coming back at the end. I loved it here. And my last assignment was here, and I retired, and I stayed here. But I got, just like you, I went through the leadership program, got immersed in our community, and was following issues, and several of them got my attention. But more so, what got my attention was how our elected representative was speaking about the issue and speaking about me, as his constituents. And I said, we live in the coolest city in the best country of the world. We deserve a little better than that. And I pounded the table and I walked away. And 3 days later I said, wait, maybe that's me. And it just kind of went off from there. That was December. In January I filed to run for office, and I ran against a 20-year career elected official with a lot of name recognition, and it was a tough race, and I'll tell you, it's interesting. It's a different skill set to run for office than it is to be in office. So then you get sworn in, and they sit you right up here, and they go. And you kind of figure it out as you go, much like you all are going to do today. I didn't even know what button to push. As I said, there's a button up here that says mic, and when you press it, a red light comes on, and your red thing. And that's how we often let the mayor know when we're taking comment from the council that we want to speak. But again, you have to be careful, because if you start, oh, that's stupid, I would never, you're just talking to yourself or talking, hey, that was a dumb comment by Stavros Anthony. What, you got your mic on, you go, oops. Yeah, and it happens, so you try to be careful. So I try to just let the mayor know, hey, I want to speak, okay. And she's really good about keeping track of who wants to speak. So there's the microphone here, there's the microphone down there, and there's an art and a skill to presenting your case. And I tell people when it's my topic, such as today, a highly contentious issue of pet ordinance, when it comes to the time, the mayor will generally say, Councilman, how do you want to proceed? And I've found it's best to say something like this: thank you all for being here, and I truly believe what I'm about to tell you. I say, the room's full of people against and for whatever you're talking about. I go, I think this is wonderful. This is our democratic process in action. I really want to hear everything everybody has to say, because I will consider all sides of the issue, but I will let you know that you are most effective when you come forward with a fact-based, unemotional, rational discussion point that we can all benefit from. And sometimes I'll add further, those comments that get emotional or get unprofessional, I have found that my peers, my fellow colleagues up here generally tune it out. So if you want us to hear you, I recommend that you do so in an unemotional way, and it's okay if we disagree as long as we do it agreeably. We can disagree in an agreeable manner, and that's how we can get all the comments forward. So I will share that, and hopefully the people that come up will abide by that, as well as the council members as well, because some of these issues, as you've seen in our media, people think it's great to call people names, and I've been called names, and I've only been here a year. They think it's great to just be a little irrational, and it doesn't help your case. When it comes down to making a decision, for the people, being irrational and emotional is ineffective. And that's what we try to do here, although we're not always successful. So that's an important piece for me as we go forward. And my decisions, just so you know, are it's this, the military background says this: it's not about me. You don't serve in the military for a decade or two or three because it's all about you. You do it because you believe in supporting your neighbor, your community, your friends, your family. And you make personal sacrifices all along the way, and that's the way I believe our elected officials should conduct themselves as well. And my goal on a daily basis is to conduct myself in a manner that I would be proud of my elected official being, and that would be to represent the community and not represent themselves or promote their personal interests, which is a very challenging position. So I've been in office a little over a year now. Just so you know, they say if you haven't been sued, you're not doing your job. Well, I got sued about 6 months into the job, and it's still ongoing, so I'm really rocking it. I have a lot of fun out there because in the campaign, I say, was knee-buckling. They said it would go away once you get in office. It hasn't in this case, but the strength comes from representing the people, because, again, it's not about me. It's carrying their water for them. So with that, we have a normal routine here, and we'll flow through it, and when we're done, hopefully we can debrief a little bit and talk about it if you have any questions, but hopefully we'll have fun. Is everybody ready to have a little fun with this? Sure. All right. Sounds good. So we have Stacy and her, she normally, when we have a council meeting, she's sits in one of these seats up here and keeps us on track. Jeff sits in the back, and he'll shut the mic off on you if you go longer than your time. So he helps walk us through the issues. So let's go ahead and do that. The way the meeting starts is pretty much like today. Everybody's late. So we try not to be, and the mayor tends to start on time. I was going to actually conduct the vote while you guys are away. It's been approved already. You guys just don't know it, but it's good. So the way it starts out is the mayor just starts reading. It's live on Channel 2. There's cameras all around the room. They focus when you speak. The cameras will be focused on you. and it gets transmitted across the valley on Channel 2, and it gets played back on a loop every day for the next 2 weeks until the next council meeting, so it's preserved in posterity. They transcribe it, and people will use it for and against you at a later date, just so you know. All right, so we call this meeting to order. The November 1st, 2018 mock meeting of the City Council is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. By the way, do you know what open meeting law means? Open meeting law means, like at the legislature in the U.S. Congress, they'll take, say, all the Republicans in one room and all the Democrats in another room, and they'll say, this is how we're going to vote, this is what you're going to say, this is how we're going to handle this situation, and then they go back out there and they do everything. Here, we're a nonpartisan body, and we are subordinate to the state legislature, and they say, you guys can't do what we do. You guys have to have all your discussions in the open, right here. So you can talk to up to 2 other council members about an issue, but as soon as you hit the third, that's the majority. That becomes 4 of you that you ask for support on an issue. That's violating the open meeting law. So we can't sit in a room to discuss for or against an issue with 4 of us, and we can't do a walking quorum or going to the 4th person. So we can talk some, but the beauty is you have the discussion here, or that's the theory, okay? And it's difficult, I'll share, to have you'll find this, to get all your conversation points out from this with the procedures we have to use. So anyway, sorry, I digress. This has been posted and in compliance with the open meeting law. For public comment related to the items on the agenda today, citizen participation, and public hearing items, we have available a speaker card which you can complete and submit to the city clerk. Cards are available online in the clerk's office or at the rear of the chambers. If you do not submit a card, it does not prevent you from speaking under the public comment, citizens participation, or specified public hearing items. If there is anyone present today that would with a need for a hearing impaired piece of equipment, please see the city clerk staff. Before we proceed with the agenda, would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Normally we have a prayer, and then we move forward. God bless everyone. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. The amount of time for any single speaker is allowed may be limited. All comments made will be cross-referenced to those specific items. If anyone submitted a speaker card or who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda, please come to the podium and state your name for the record. This is your opportunity to address the council, but the council is not able to respond or engage in dialogue. We will set the time at 1 minute. Now, I will share with you at this time that if you're here to speak on agenda item 5, I believe it is today, the bill, I would recommend that you wait until that agenda items come forward. But if you have a time constraint and you would like to address any of the other items on the agenda today, now would be that opportunity. So sometimes people come and they'll speak about an item that we may not hear for 6 hours from now. So they'll speak now, and then they may have to go catch a plane or go to work or whatever, so it's an opportunity for them to speak. You have to limit your comments to what's on the agenda. There's an opportunity at the end of the agenda to speak on anything in general, and we get some really interesting commentary when we call that one. But right now, I will say, seeing no public comment, we will move forward with the next item on the agenda, which is item number 5. This is item number 5 is a recommending committee bill that is eligible for adoption at this meeting. The bill is number 2018-15. City Attorney, would you please read the bill?
Bill number 2018-15 is an ordinance pertaining to the sale of dogs and cats by pet shops, amending LVMC Titles 6 and 7 to update the licensing and animal control permit provisions governing pet shops and associated businesses by establishing additional requirements pertaining to the sale of dogs and cats, including updated fee requirements and providing for other related matters.
Thank you. Excellent job. Excellent job, I have to tell you. Normally, at this point, people normally have done some research on this, have talked to constituents. Constituents come into your office all week to make appointments, pro and con. They send you emails, they leave you voicemails, and I recommend you do that. It really does matter when you hear from your constituents. I know you've had this information in your packet, but normally we would ask the staff to make a little discussion, so I'll go through a little bit real quick and a review of what we're discussing today. Today, I'm playing kind of staff in multiple roles right now. Can you see on the slides up there? Is it on the screen? We are looking at pet ordinance revisions to, as our attorney just said, amendments to Title 6 and 7 amendments. And I was the sponsor of this. So what we had was we had a pending ban on selling pets, selling dogs, cats, potbelly pigs at pet stores unless they came from a shelter. So that bill was repealed by a council vote in November of 2017. What happened from there was there was research done for all the national best practices. So instead of banning businesses, telling them what they could and could not have in their stores, other places had put best practices in place to influence the behavior that the community would like to see. So there was a best practices research. It was all compiled into a document. The City of Las Vegas Department, a group of people were put together to review that, to screen it, to make comments, changes, and then there were meetings with external stakeholder people. As you would imagine, pet stores had an interest in this. You would imagine small breeders, large breeders, distributors, activists, welfare people, dog owners, dog haters, all had an interest in this issue. So there were meetings held where they could discuss and have their issues heard and adjust the language as required. They came back to the City of Las Vegas committee to rework the language. And in addition, people would come to the offices and request changes here and there, and those were, if they were in the spirit of the document, they were accepted as well. So what you can see is November we repealed the ban on the sale of dogs and cats in a pet store other than shelter animals. Then the process began in about December and January, where there was a moratorium put on place until we could get the guidance that we were seeking from the City Council. So from January to June were a number of meetings that include external stakeholder sessions, business impact statements, so you have to consider the impact to our businesses and to the staff at the City of Las Vegas. The bills were introduced. The bill has to be read 3 times before you can vote on it, so the community is aware of it. The newspapers and the media will actually report, hey, they're considering repealing the ban, they're considering short-term rentals. That's what you read in the paper, because we put it on the agenda so that the community is aware of it. And then at the 3rd time, it comes to the council and we get to vote on it, and that's what we're doing today. So the sessions were in February. These are the requirements. Did you guys all get a chance to review these in the past? Okay, good. And there was a second bill on spay and neutering, which we're not actually discussing today. So the impact financially was about $80,000 in staff costs in order to move this bill forward. And that's the overall presentation. And I will share with you that as a sponsor, I considered 5 things in putting this bill together, because this is what people from animal activists to animal welfare people to the community said were a concern. And I said the number 1 concern we're seeking here is the welfare of the animals. We also have to protect the consumers. Many people were buying pets, they would take them home, they would die in a week or 2 or 3 from some disease, and then they were out the $1,500, $3,000, $5,000 they paid. So we wanted to consider them. We have to be able to enforce our rules. If you make a rule and you can't enforce it, it just encourages people to break it. It reduces your legitimacy, and it encourages them to break other rules that you have in place since you seem weak. There's an education element in here. What is a puppy mill? Where are our pets coming from? When you go to the pet store, where's the breeder come from? And there's also a revenue piece, because in order to enforce this, you need to have code enforcement people. So as a sponsor of the bill, these were the things that were considered. I think I turned the page and I lost my page on our agenda now. So we read the bill. So we had a little background on the bill. We no longer have the ban pending, but we do have a temporary moratorium on any new pet stores opening up in our community, and we're considering new guidelines in place for our animals. So thank you for reading the bill, Attorney. Thank you very much. I see that we have a lot of people here that would like to speak on this item. So if you would, so what we'll do now is we'll take comment from the public, and what we'll do is, I already provided some background on the bill, and then we'll take public comment. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person. Now, normally when the public comments, we don't engage in a dialogue with the public at that time. Now, if you as council members would like to ask a question, you normally say, Mayor, and I acknowledge you, and then if we're either discuss with them at the time, or we can wait till all the comments made, and then you can address. Each council member will get a chance to address this, make a statement on this issue, and then we'll vote. So it'll be public comment. We don't interrupt them if we're doing this appropriately. Then we each get to make comment. And you can actually ask them a question through me. You go, Mayor, I'd like to ask them a question. She made the comment about this. Could she clarify that? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'll say, okay. And then we'll vote. So people, council, vote. Fair enough? All right. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to make comment at this time on this bill, we'll limit your comments to 2 minutes. Please step forward. You can form a line or you can remain seated. And how long you take here will determine how long you're in this room. Well, thank you very much. Please state your name for the record.
Let's see. Good morning. Michelle Lindsay. I am an attorney representing several of the environmental rights groups.
Oh, no.
Or animal rights groups. I urge you to adopt this ordinance today. Even though I'm here representing the animal rights groups, I'd like to say that pet shops are not villains, and neither are breeders. We all love our pets and our families, and they're a part of our families, an active part of our lives. The way that we engage with the environment and so many wonderful things. It is important to know that there is currently not an accountability in place for pet shop owners and for breeders, and that's what this is all about. It's about chain of custody. So many of the products and services that we purchase, we have a real accounting for the chain of custody of those items, but not for these animals that are part of our lives. It's also about having that accountability for the breeders and the pet owners, having the signs posted so that if people are in your pet shop that they see an infraction, see something that bothers them, they can report that. And then also the microchipping is just vital. As we have pets that might be out, we're trying to manage the costs associated with animal control organizations and nonprofits and volunteer organizations. Microchipping really diminishes a lot of those costs and takes care of the pet and makes sure they end up with a home and a loving pet owner. And then also that the penalties are really fair but impactful. They're substantial enough to make a difference, but they're not overly burdensome for the pet owners and the breeders, and that the 6 months to implement this ordinance is brisk but very achievable. So I urge you to vote I urge you to vote yes on the ordinance. Thank you.
Well done. Was that a little nerve-wracking to come up there and do that? It is, isn't it? Yes. And now imagine yourself saying that and the person behind you has the total opposite view and is breathing down your neck while you're talking. It is a little intimidating, and I tell people it takes a lot of courage to stand up. I've done it, and it is scary, so thank you for stepping forward. Bailiff, would you escort this lady out of the area, please? Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, that has a good ring to it. Amanda Moss, for the record. I am a small breeder that sells 2 litters a year to private customers and not to pet stores. There are plenty of animals in the shelters and at rescues that are sold from people like myself who use the few thousands of dollars I make a year from selling these animals bred in my backyard with the oversight of my local vet to help pay my bills. I'm in favor of this ordinance because pet store operators are not thoroughly regulated in the state, and although many states do require regulations for animals where they are born during distribution and transportation and by the USDA, although they don't necessarily have the funds to crack down, I think this gives both the City Council as well as the state of Nevada additional opportunities to prevent animal cruelty. And lastly, I am a law-abiding breeder who loves and takes care care of my animals and supports any ordinance that limits the ability of substandard breeders or pet stores to sell unfit animals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there other comments from the audience today, from the public? I see some activity out there. All right, please come on down and state your name.
Hello, I'm Jacqueline Dravina. I'm an animal activist, and I also have great concern about this bill and want it to be passed as well. I do not want to see animals in a cruel situation. Animals go home and die because they were not taken care of. The welfare of the animals is very important. I'm also concerned about the fees, the penalties. I feel like some of those could be a little higher, a little more strict. And then the checks and balances, like how are we ensuring that these puppy mills are not continuing to go forward? And those are my concerns. So I also urge for you to pass this bill as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Kirti Venkatramanan. I'm a resident of the city. In the past, I've lived in several big cities across the world, and one problem that I've frequently come across is the overpopulation of stray dogs. So I strongly support passing this bill, especially with the requirement of the pet stores to spay or neuter the pets before they sell it. But at the same time, the fees and the fines that are levied from the pet stores for not following this are substantially low. For example, some of these fines are just $150 while they can sell a pet as high as $1,500 and north of that. But please do take consideration of that part of the bill, amend it, and please pass the bill to keep this city safe of stray pets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sometimes what people do, if they're going to be speaking, they sit in those reserved seats in the front, so as soon as the speaker's done, the next one's ready. You're welcome to do that today as well, or not. Up to you, public.
My name is Eric Gernhardt. I want to go on record by saying that I support everything that Ms. Moss said earlier. And I would add to that, I believe it's beneficial for my industry to do what it can to give the city of Las Vegas and the state of Nevada more tools in their toolbox to crack down on animal cruelty. Thank you.
Thank you. He was being a gentleman to allow the lady to speak first if she wanted. The mayor makes comments like that throughout the meeting, just to keep it lively.
I'm Dave Stein. I'm a resident of Las Vegas, Ward 4. I appreciate all the effort that went into crafting this bill. I urge its adoption for multiple reasons. First of all, it minimizes or at least reduces the possibility of someone buying a sick animal that's genetically defective or otherwise sick, minimizes the financial burden or the possibility that the animal would transmit to the general public an infectious disease. It's business friendly. It keeps pet shops in business. They pay taxes too. They employ people. And finally, this bill, while it may or may not make an appreciable dent in the puppy mill problem, at least makes a very powerful statement that we are a compassionate city and we care about our animals. And as they say on Capitol Hill, in congressional committee hearings, I'll yield the balance of my time.
Thank you. Good to see you. Please state your name.
Sarah Quinn. I'm just a resident of the city of Las Vegas and have followed this bill from the beginning, and it's been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster as a pet lover and a rescue animal owner. there. I appreciate the efforts that have gone into this specific version of the bill, as it does create a path of accountability for those breeders and pet stores who sell bred animals. However, I did want to express my disappointment that there's a large piece of this puzzle missing in this version, which is the outlet of animals who are in shelters who need a home. As a volunteer at shelters, there is a lot of overcrowding and limited resources to support those animals, and I do have some concerns about euthanasia of innocent animals just due to a strain on resources, and taking the piece out of this puzzle that gave an outlet for those animals to find a home is a concern of mine. So I appreciate the efforts that help create accountability for those breeders, but would urge you to look at the secondary problem of what are we going to do with the overpopulation of animals that are currently in shelters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You guys are living it. This is really how it is. Now picture yourself up here and one of your friends comes up and is looking in you in the eye and telling you you're all wrong on something. So go ahead.
My name is Lillian Mendez. I'm also city resident of Las Vegas. I was injured during the 1st of October. I was shot in the leg and I fell and I injured. I was in the hospital for some time and I found comfort. There were a lot of visitors, but one of the visitors that stood out to me was Lutheran Charities, K9 Comfort. They stopped in my room. I never had a dog in my life, and a golden retriever pulled me through those moments. I then went home and I started the process of physical therapy and found myself wanting to take care of a pet myself. I looked into, of course, a lot of the therapeutic breeding requirements, and I could not afford some of those higher price breeders. So what I did is I went to Petland and purchased a little puppy there, and I lost him. And 3 months later, so I do appreciate the passing of this bill to make sure that they have requirements that they need to go by. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, and thank you for your bravery in sharing your story. It means a lot to us. Are there any more comments from the public? I see a couple more. Great. Please state your name.
Someone forgot their phone. Lillian. My name's Elaine Opie. I'm a pet shop owner.
Kathy Roller, co-pet shop owner.
There's parts of this bill that I find problematic, parts that I find beneficial. I do feel as though, as a pet shop owner, some of the onus in managing the welfare of these animals is being pushed off to pet owners, where it should lie within the city or within the state. Some of us pet shop owners are not attorneys, we're not versed in the law, but yet this bill is mandating that we understand the law and that we enforce it against these breeders. We're not supposed to be purchasing puppies, kitties, piggies from these breeders unless we know that they're in compliance. That's holding us to a standard that other businesses are not being held to. The beneficial thing that I find about this bill is the microchipping. That's a good practice to implement here in the state of Nevada. However, I don't think it's been thought through 100%. Microchipping is a great tool. However, it's only useful if the owner that purchases the animal registers that animal with the microchipping system. So that's my comment.
Thanks. And I'd just like to add that we've been here in the community for 15 years. We've never had any complaints, and we work really hard with our breeders to vet them and do our due diligence as far as we can. We apologize when mistakes are made and a dog comes from unfortunate puppy mill, but we try to correct those on our ends and to keep moving forward and making sure that our stock is good dogs and cats and probably pigs.
Piggies.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Any more comments from the public? If not, oh, one more. All right, before we, do we have any others after that? Otherwise, after this, we close public comment. All right, Please state your name. Thanks for coming up.
Jillian Gerardo, attorney representative for Petland Store. I just wanted to express that although this bill may have some benefits to portions of it, there are some detriments that could greatly affect the way that business is done for not only bigger conglomerates like ourselves, but also for the smaller pet shop owners. I think that providing ample time to ensure that some business practices are revamped and remodeled for those businesses, whether small or big, should be in accordance. And then I also believe that, sorry, this is nerve-wracking. I also believe that, for us, we don't necessarily state that we are obtaining animals from these mills, and I think a clear definition of those mills needs to be provided on how the city sees it and how we need to view it, so that way we can do our due diligence to ensure that we are getting animals from the correct places, and that we are fully vetting our sources for them. I also want to ensure that my comment is made that restricting the purchase of animals from shelters really limits the exposure to purebreds or the type of animal, the age of the animal that's available for consumers to pick. So taking that right away from them and eventually allowing them to build that relationship with them, with their animal, you're removing that as an ability for them. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. And I think that we are done with public comment. Am I missing anybody? Everybody get a chance? All right. We will now close public comment. Thank you, everybody, for your comment. We'll start with some questions, comments from the council, and then after that, we'll vote. We'll start on my right. Is it Tom? Tom, would you like to make some comments or?
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who had an opinion on this. I tend to agree. I think the revisions to the previous bill are smart and wise. My only questions have to do, they're financial. As was mentioned a couple of times, the fines for violations seem low to me, just given the economics of what a purebred animal would sell for. So I'm wondering how were the fines determined, and then also the $500 permit cost for the pet stores?
That's a good question. Staff, can you answer the question? Or Peter Lowenstein, you work, he's not there, but that's normally what would happen. Great comment, and I think Peter would say this. For the permitting fee, we are dictated by the legislature on the amount of money that we can charge for certain permits, what we can charge for fines. So we are limited in our ability to, in our flexibility. While, and this is what I would say then if I was a councilman sitting next to you, and I'd say, I think we would need some help at the legislature to implement this if we like to carry this forward. So your comments are very well taken.
Particularly given the incremental cost of what looks like over $100,000 to enforce this. And again, I support the changes to the bill, but in the future, we may give some thought to incentivizing pet stores to sell rescues so that there's a benefit there. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good comments. And some of the other revenue that comes in is there is a fee per animal that gets delivered, so there's additional revenue from that aspect that comes in as well. I think it's $10 a dog, so every pet that comes in, there is another fee. Let's go to our left over here. Erica, how you doing today down there?
I'm doing well. How are you,
How's the Chamber
Mayor?
of Commerce doing?
We're doing great. We're still up, right?
Great, great. Still operating well. Please share with us.
So again, thank you so much for all your comments. I have a suggestion or something that the pet shelters and the stores can hopefully work on. Maybe possibly working on an exchange program, maybe at least give 2 dogs to a store, something in that process where, like one of the commenters said, that the large piece of the problem is overcrowding of shelters. So maybe take 2 dogs that are in high demand, during that season, transfer them to a store that could probably use them, just evening it out the balance.
So I think you're saying for the shelters, for the stores to say, and build a relationship with shelters to say, we'll house 2 of your animals for sale once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. All right, thank you.
That's about it.
All right. Thank you again for all of your comments and questions. In my opinion, there's definitely a lack of regulations when it comes to animal sales from pet shops and breeders. And I agree that requirements including microchipping, improved handling, and better record keeping will benefit all involved, most importantly the animals. As Tom said, I would definitely recommend getting some help from the legislature on increasing the fines associated with not adhering to the policy, and I think we definitely need to look into ways that we can lessen the financial burdens on the rescue groups and shelters.
Thank you. And I'm not remembering everybody's name, I'm sorry.
Adrian. Mina? Adrian?
Councilwoman, yes, Councilwoman Adrian, you're up.
Good afternoon. Thank you again for everyone. Lillian, that was a great story. I applaud you, and I'm sorry for what happened. I do want to state for the record, I don't agree with puppy mills at all, but I do honor the right. If you do want a designer dog, you should have the option to be able to buy a designer dog without being penalized, but you want to have a safe and clean designer dog. I did have a question. I don't know if anyone's able to answer it, but during the time when the pet stores were not able to sell the dogs, was there an increase or decrease in the shelters where people were able to, did more dogs get adopted and did less dogs come into the shelters?
Peter Lowenstein from Planning speaking now. He normally sits over there. Yes, there's a little confusion there, and I'll just attempt to clarify that. While 2 years ago, the City Council voted to put a ban in place for selling other than shelter animals at the pet store, the implementation wasn't going to be for 2 years. So the ban was never actually implemented, but it was on the books to be executed.
Gotcha. All right.
But that's a very good question. Thank you. Anything further, Councilwoman?
I'm done.
Thank you. Councilwoman, last but not least, before the mayor gets to speak.
All right. Thank you. I would like to thank everyone for their comments today. One of the things that are in the proposed amendment to the bill, it talks about increased audits and inspections, and how many. And so my question is, how many audits and inspections are currently done now? And what is the proposed number with regards to the increase in the audits and inspections? And will this be done quarterly or annually?
Mary McElhone of Business Licensing, will you address this question, please? And I don't remember the exact, that's a great question, and that is one of the things that this does address. But the inspections were increased a little bit more, and the goal is that as you get a little bit more revenue and we can hire an additional enforcement person, that when the delivery truck shows up, they're actually there when the pets are offloaded and they can inspect the store at the time. And I believe it's once a year for sure, and then there were some spot inspections implemented in between. I believe that was the case. Don't hold me to that, but this was part of the discussion, and that detail has just left my brain momentarily. Great question, but keep going if you have other things. Because that's how it would work. You would ask, and you would wait for Mary. The mayor would say, Mary McElhone, will you address the question? And she would say, Mayor, through you, is what the staff says, through the mayor to you, and answer your question. And you could have a dialogue then of questions back and forth. So that was very good. Well, thank you for all your comments. I think the public did an amazing job. You actually simulated. I think you were speaking from your hearts, all of you. You did your research. You actually looked like and sounded like and acted like the people that come up here during a real meeting, right, Stacy? This was just how it is. nervous, you've done your research. I would say some of you had actually watched city council meetings to know how it worked, as you did perform to that level. And the city council members, you did exactly the same thing too. You had made your comments, you let it go, or if you had a question. I would just like to address some of them since they were very good. The microchipping, if we can increase the microchipping, there's less animals in the shelters. So once you hit a tipping point of about 20% of the pets are microchipped, the populations in the shelters go down because we're able to find the owners. The registration comment is right on the money. You can have a chip, but if you don't register it, it's worthless. So part of this, we tried to put in there that it would be registered before the pet would leave the store. But I don't remember the exact language on how we did that because it ties in with the spay and neutering piece as well. But great comment, right on the money. We are working with other agencies. As part of this process, we've invited people from USDA, we invited the county in, and other organizations. So why did we invite the county in? Well, we would like this to be a universal type legislation, a law that it's not just applies in the city of Las Vegas, but includes the entire valley because it gets confusing. But what you said up there was that Vegas is a leader in this area. And somebody said that we are telling people when you come to Vegas, we mean business. And if you want to do business with us, you do it right. And to that end, this ordinance got attention across the nation. And I received phone calls from people saying, thank you, you as Vegas are being a national leader. When they had a pet convention here, I was asked to come to the pet convention to get an award, to be a friend of a pet. I got an award for putting this forward as a step toward good legislation. Somebody mentioned we're missing some pieces on shelters. Yes. Through the process of engaging, you compromise. In these meetings we had, some of the shelter pieces were not addressed so that we could get this part through, and we do need to address the shelter piece more effectively, I believe, and that needs to go forward. Further, airports and puppy mills. Well, we don't really have puppy mills in the state of Nevada. We have a couple, but really the big violators are in the Midwest. Reading the national studies, if you eliminated every puppy mill in the United States of America, we would still have a puppy mill problem because they come in through our airports. They come in internationally through our airports, and so that's why we engaged the county so they could work, they own the airport, and we can start working with the airport to make sure that we're not bringing in puppy mill animals. Further, we had the USDA at these meetings, and I've been to Washington, D.C., speaking to the city's lobbyists there to talk to the USDA. And the USDA used to publish their inspection results of breeders online. About the time our current president came on into office, I don't know if it was a direction or a coincidence, the transparency went away. They're no longer posted online how the inspections went. You have to send in a request for a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and it'll take 2 or 3 months for you to get an answer. But the point was, and we are asking through the city of Las Vegas to the USDA that our municipal government would have that transparency, so when a pet store comes in and talks to us, we have access to how their breeders that they're buying from have done in these inspections. So great comments, and these are being looked at and continuing to be looked at. We do want to prevent puppy mills. Nobody in our council likes puppy mills. It was just the best way to influence them. Higher fees, yes. If you come here and you're a distributor and you give a pet that it dies, normally it's because the puppy mill health and the well-being of the parents and where the dog was bred, in this case, was not good. So the pet store has to pay back the consumer, the pet store is going to go after the distributor for the money, and then the distributor is going to go talk to the breeder and go, don't give me any more of those animals because you're costing me money. And so that's a way that we're able to influence them even though they're not in our states. We mentioned shelters. We talked about Petland. Petland was in the middle of this discussion. That was everything you said is true. It is a bit of a burden on the pet stores, and it's a bit of a burden on everybody else, but the way we were able to get the language to work together was everybody acknowledged the other side was making a reasonable commitment toward the community, and that's how we came up with this document. So thank you for all your comments. With that, are there any further comments? And I will share also right now is a time that when you all spoke as council members, you could say if you didn't like the fees, you could say, I would like to amend that ordinance. I like the ordinance, but would you consider, you talked to the sponsor in this case, Councilman Soroka, would you consider raising the fees on this? And if I wanted to consider it, I would say, Peter, what can I do on the fees? If not, I would say, I appreciate that, but I'm going to move to approve it as it is. But you can entertain me to accept an amendment to it. And whether I do or not, that will influence your vote. Because if I just said, I don't like you, the answer is no. You're probably going to vote against it at that point. But it's all, we don't always accept the other person's amendments. So with that, that closes our comment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Would anybody like to make the motion? Tom, would you like to sit in as a sponsor and make the motion? You get the option. And what you would say is, Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to approve agenda item, and it's number 5 on our screen. I'd like to make motion to approve number 5, or you could say I want the motion, make the motion to, what's it, Stacy? If you don't want, deny it, reject it, what's the word? Approve or? Approve or deny. Yes, you can approve it, make a motion to approve it. You can make a motion to deny it, or you could make a motion to delay the vote for another time and specify the date that you'd like. I'll leave that up to you, sir.
Mayor, given what we've heard today, I would like to make a motion to approve Bill number 2018-15.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Would everybody please vote? And we have on our screens to the right, you can touch screen it as yay or nay, and then please post. So if you're in favor of approving it, you vote yes, or if you're not in favor of that, you vote no. With that, clerk, please look at that, unanimous. Oh, wait, we have somebody missing today, so they had a higher commitment, so they could not be here today, so the motion passes. Motion carries. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap up the meeting. Citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the City Council. No subject may be acted upon by the City Council unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time, may be limited. This is your opportunity to address the council, but the council is not able to respond or engage in dialogue. Are there any members of the public who would wish to speak under this portion of the agenda? It doesn't have to be, this is where we get some real interesting commentary from people. And some of them could have been waiting here 4, 6, 8, 10 hours because we start at 9 in the morning, and it could be 6 at night that we're finally wrapping up, and they've been waiting all day. So they'll come up, they'll make their comments. Thank you for your comments. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
I'd just like to thank all of our class members for doing the homework and prepping, and I know that takes a lot of time, especially with your busy schedule, so thank you very much. I want to thank Councilman Soroka for taking the time out of his day to facilitate this mock city council. Stacy for being here and helping us through, and the gentleman in the back, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. And Tori, she did a lot of work to get all this together, to get us this city council topic. It's a real matter, and you guys went through this with flying colors. I was really impressed. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go back to the, we're going to do a picture. Yeah. So are we doing it just, we're going to go back here? Okay. So everyone come on up.
If you could, Councilman, in the center, and then I need the tall one, so you know, Eric, you know you're one of those, and Denisha, you know you're one of those. Get on either side of Councilman. So all the tall ones in the back, and then we're going to form a V looking in toward Councilman.
Well, okay. Would you like us in our chairs, or would you like us standing as well?
I'll stand.
Okay.
So we got to close everybody in.
While you're walking up here, oh, go ahead. I was just going to share that if the meeting goes that long, we do get a break to go eat. There's a break room in the back, And when you go in the back, there's a bathroom back there, you can hear what's going on here. When you're in the bathroom, it's real time. When you go in the break room, it's on the TV, so it's about a 15 to 18 second delay. And I'll tell you, I've been in the bathroom, and something's come up where I'm like, wait! And I come running back out here, because you come back out. But I always try, sometimes people think when we go to the bathroom, we're not, or we go to the back, we're not paying attention. No, we're hearing everything that goes on. And there is some food back there.
And last but not least, I wanted to thank Robin because she worked on all your assignments, so she's responsible for. Yeah. So let's go ahead and meet downstairs. We'll just go straight to the lunchroom. So.